How's everyone doing? Okay. This series of Harsha talks is almost over. We're towards the end. Next talk will finish everything. And instead of waiting for next month, it will be October 21st, 2 weeks from now. Okay. So we'll finish up everything and we'll begin another series of talks on Mondays. And it won't be once a month. It'll be twice a month. So every other week. You think that's better? We'll sit for a period and then talk. The Wednesday sits will be the same. Opportunity for one-on-one interview, and the people in the Chan Hall, 2 periods of sitting, walking in between. Like that. And then the Sunday sit will also be changing that. Sunday morning sit. If I'm around, we'll have 1 period of sitting, stretching, walking, and then we'll discuss some aspects of practice. Okay, so there's more engagement, interaction. Sounds good? Yeah. And for tonight, those people on Zoom, you're welcome to type out your questions in the chat, and then we'll read out your questions. If there's not too many questions, then we'll unmute you. You can just ask questions. All right, so we are at the passage, having no obstructions, there is no fear. Departing far from confusion and imagining, they reach ultimate nirvana, referring to bodhisattvas. Last talk, I talked about nothing to attain, having nothing to attain. And I spoke about non-abiding. And I spoke about several things that people typically seek to acquire, possess. Move forward a little bit so I can see Danny. To attain. Do you remember those 6? Can you repeat that? It's in Chinese, people can't. All right. Fame, which includes recognition. Profit, gaining. Power, authority. Status. Influence. And sensual pleasure. These are the 6. So this gives us a framework. And we all know Buddhism is very good at giving us framework. 5 of this, 6 of that, 8 of this, 4 of this. The point is not to use them as a measurement to kind of judge ourselves, but to use them as entryways to enter the path of practice. So when it identifies 6 particular ways in which we engage in gaining, losing, having, lacking, success, failure. These are the ways in which we create self-referential attachment. Right? So having that as part of our object of awareness, we can now look out for them. So, the way I teach usually, from the Chan perspective, Zen perspective, there's this fundamental suspicion to words and language, labels, because this is how we reify, solidify things. We give it a name. But on the flip side, giving it a name, giving a label, and Buddhism is very good at that, provides a framework. Once you put a name on it, you know what to watch out for. Does that make sense? There's not much beyond these 6 in terms of, when the sutra talks about nothing to attain. Of course, there's a 7th one. Wisdom, nothing to attain. But wisdom, many people seek after wisdom because of these 6. Fame, profit, gaining. Gaining, the opposite is losing, which includes having, lacking. This is very deep-rooted, pervasive among practitioners. Right? Before, they used to seek after, wealth, material things. They get into spiritual practice, and then they seek after experiences, wisdom. It's the same. You see? Power, status, spheres of influence. A lot of people, they practice in order to be a Dharma teacher. They may even get a certificate. It's not uncommon. They want to become a Dharma teacher too. From the Buddha Dharma perspective, upside down. That's upside down. We practice Buddha Dharma not to become a teacher. If you want to have a goal, you can have a goal, and that is to be free. To be free and not to become a teacher. To be free from what? Vexations, suffering, cause of suffering. Right? Does that make sense? So it's just some kind of spiritual materialism. We practice to become Dharma teachers, to teach others, to share with others, maybe driven by kindness, compassion, to help. Right? But all that, technically speaking, is self-referencing. Nothing to attain. No status. Gaining, profit, fame, title. And to be mindful of that is the practice of contemplation of emptiness. If we go to a space, a reception or something, when other people are getting recognized for their work, for their success, what kind of thought come up within you? I want to do that. I want to be recognized. That's including fame. Other people have power, status, have the right to make decisions. That's including power. Right? When people don't recognize you, it's all good. People recognize you. their recognition. Nothing to do with you. I remember my grandmaster, very famous, Chan monk, Master Ling Yuan. He was invited to be one of the preceptors. Hundreds of newly minted, aspiring monastics, novice, at the transmission of precepts. He's used to wearing tethered robe, patch robe. So he's one of the preceptors. So he goes there. Not particularly, if you look at him, because he had a stroke. So when you look at him, half of his face is like, the lips are kind of dropping down. Not particularly powerful looking or like a Chan master or whatever that's supposed to look like. People have some ideas, right? Like some presence. Like spiritual teachers will always have some presence. Very low-key. He's just the opposite. In fact, many Chan masters in history, great Chan masters, they just look like decrepit old men. Nothing special. Like who? Like Chan master Zhao Zhou, Zhou. That's the guy with the dog have no Buddha nature. Nothing particular about him. Right? So Master Ling Yuan goes, he's in his patch robes. He has his bag. That's the good robe for the precept transmission. He goes over there because these precept ceremonies are huge occasions for laity to offer dana, food, presents, and supporting the new novitiates. Goes over there. So a lot of monks, small temples and so on, they typically go there to get a free meal because there's a lot of food, good food. So he goes over there. One of the monks, the reception, take a look at him. He's like, the kitchen's over there. You can grab yourself something to eat. He didn't say, do you know who I am? You don't recognize me? He says, oh, thank you. So he goes to the kitchen. Everyone's busy preparing the food. He grabs a chair and the people see him. He just stands there. People say, what are you doing here? He says, the reception monk told me to come here for some food. Food? Okay, just grab a plate and just get something to eat. And have a seat over there. So he's like sitting. He's not particularly hungry. And everyone's waiting for him. Great Chan master Ling Yuan. They can't find him. So looking over the temple, where is he? Is he late? Calling his monastery. He's like, he left already. He's left hours ago. And they look up, down, different places. They found him. Master Ling Yuan, what are you doing here? It's like, oh, the reception monk told me to come here to eat, so I'm just having some snack. Says, we're waiting for you, please. And the reception was, that's Master Ling Yuan. Everyone in the kitchen is like, oh my goodness, So people don't recognize you, it's fine. People recognize you, it's their business. Power, status, influence, wealth, fame. Unfettered, unhinged, untethered to that. The story is not to, the point is not to say, don't worry about time, you should be late, no obligations, but it's about all the various ways in which we abide, we're bound by. So having these 6 is something to watch out for. So that's the benefit. Does that make sense? no attainment. There are things to attain. And the sutras talk about various things to attain. What I said about these 6 are worldly things. Worldly things. And the whole world is in on it. They rear us to chase after them. And if we don't, you're shamed. You're poor. You know? Little kids make fun of other kids who are poor. Have you seen that? My great Dharma brother, who passed away recently, Master Guoru, when we met. Very hard life. Abject poverty. His mother was an orphan, given to a family to marry their son. You know, when they're of age. And the house wasn't particularly wealthy. They didn't have much money. So it's kind of poor. Marry into a poor family. You know, wealthy families, they can have a better arrangement marriage. Poor families, even poorer people, like Guru's mom. Orphaned herself, goes there. But through hard work, Guru's father had some money saved, began to have some money. And then what do people do when they start to have money? Greed. Start to have concubines, affairs, and didn't care about his own son and his wife. They were forced to leave. Back on the streets again. Nowhere to go. No savings. So they live on the street. They were able to find a shack near coal mine. No electricity, like a wooden shack. They stayed there. They still go to school. Guru, as a young boy, go to school with his smelly, holy shirts, pants. Other kids used to beat him because he was small and made fun of him. You know, the whole world is in on it. We are reared to do this way, to chase after the 6 things. You know, wealth, fame, power, status. And we look up to people who have that. There's nothing to look up to. No necessarily wisdom there. It's just we don't particularly bring anything to this world besides our karmic debt. We don't leave anything, bring it with us when we die, except your karmic debt. And karmic debt driven by greed, hatred, ignorance, arrogance, doubt, suspicion, which will propel you into more grasping, selfing. Nothing to look up to. So on the worldly level, we have to at least see through the veil of this samsaric cesspool that drives us, mire us deeper, deeper into karmic debt, fueling our greed. So to become a decent person, to be aware of these 6 aspects of so-called attainment. The sutras also talk about the attainment of wisdom beyond the 6. The attainment of wisdom, the attainment of nirvana, of liberation. That's a little better than the greed, hatred, ignorance. Wisdom resolves suffering, cause of suffering. What kind of wisdom? Wisdom of no self. Wisdom of no self. The illusion of me, I, mine, the center of everything. Something that separate, independently, in other words, isolatedly existing. The self. That's an illusion. There's nothing that's isolated. We don't live in an isolated shell. Most people think beneath this shell, there's a me. Anything that you can point to. It's me, I, mine. It's just accumulation, continual flow of psychosomatic events through the interaction with everything. 6 sense objects, eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, touching 6 sense object of the 6 senses, sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, thought, giving rise to transient, flickering, moment-to-moment cognitive awarenesses tied to sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, thought. Okay? So it's a tripartite relationship of 6 sense organ, 6 sense object, giving rise to 6 corresponding momentary experiences. So the sutras, the teaching, encourage us to, in order to free ourselves from the difficulty, the struggles, the anguish, the suffering, the vexations that we feel, at the center of that, deeply ingrained, is this me, I, mine. So to dismantle this, to see through the veil of this, then we're freed. Right? So there's still something to attain. Right? There's a liberation, nirvana. There's wisdom of no self. The Heart Sutra, squarely seated in the Mahayana tradition, in the Bodhisattva path, espouses no wisdom, no attainment. As long as there's still some residue, reified notion of samsara versus nirvana, attainment, realization versus relinquishment, something is still present. So, the Mahayana path speak of selflessness of phenomenal reality itself, which is called dharmas. The early teachings, or teachings, not necessarily early in temporal sense, teachings that focus on self-liberation. The point is the dismantling of self. Right? So emptiness of self, that's the key. The teachings that focus on a thoroughgoing liberation, focusing on emptiness of dharmas. Because emptiness of self, one of the Buddhist strategies to empty the self is to point to the conditions, the conglomeration of various aggregates, to deconstruct the self into various dharmas. Right? And then you're left with the dharmas. So the teaching of thorough liberation dismantles the dharmas themselves. This is technical language. But this is a language borrowed from the Mahayana Sutras. Right? It's rhetorical. It's a philosophical discourse developed to redress the pitfalls and the philosophical, theoretical errors, flaws of some of the early teachings. Okay? So that's how Buddhism evolved, become more refined as a system of thought. So we have to make a distinction here. This is a textual scholasticism. Right? In the abstract. It doesn't refer to real lived experiences. You can't say that the arhats in the early teachings, they have emptiness of self, but they still have attachment to dharmas. No. They still attach to nirvana, and they left samsara in order to realize. These teachings, the later Mahayana teaching, is to redress a philosophical question. You see what I'm saying? It's not actually descriptor of phenomenal reality that arhat still has attachments. Right? So a person who's too bound up with the Mahayana rhetoric, right? Textual tradition, then they may actually think that's true. You know, the lived experience is different. Now, the lived experience, there are grades of profundity of liberation. There's no denying that. Right? And the perfection of the Buddha. Because you do see In the early community, the Buddha's immediate disciples, many of them have residual habit tendencies. Right? The analogy I have here is like the wine in a bottle. You can dump out the wine, but the scent of the wine is still there. That's what I mean. So some of these arhats, they can still have distinct habits. Like if they come out of the Brahmin caste system, maybe a little arrogant. Or not arrogance, but just aloof, like unapproachable. It's not really compassionate. Do they have compassion? Yes. But because the habit tendency, some of these arhats just unapproachable. Like Mahakashyapa, first patriarch of Chan. If you read the early texts, aloof. He's not particularly a friendly guy. Does he have arrogance? No. The wine of arrogance dumped out already. Okay. Some of the other arhats, great arhats, Shariputra, the Buddha, not me, the Buddha said, you still have the stench of killing, aggression. So when they were taking a stroll, an eagle was chasing a dove, a bird, pigeon, or some small bird. When he hopped over, landed next to Shariputra, was still trembling. Shariputra was puzzled. How is that possible? I'm completely free from the poisons, the kleshas. Why is fear generated? Shariputra was compassionate. When the bird hopped to the Buddha's side, at peace. Yeah. Shariputra was puzzled. So how is this possible? The Buddha says, eons and eons ago, you still have the little residue of killing sentient beings. And the karmic relationship with sentient beings limits the arhat. Some arhats, when they go alms begging, they get crappy food. Other arhats, they get a wealth of food. Why? Their karmic connections with sentient beings. So they have not perfected compassion. They have not perfected patience, loving kindness, connection to sentient beings. That's why they're not a Buddha. Okay? So there is the profundity of depth of awakening, of liberation. That's true, phenomenologically. But subjectively, they don't have attachment to nirvana. Oh, I only want nirvana. I'm trying to get rid of some stuff. No. No such attachment. When there's no selfing, there's no othering. Habit tendencies are there. Okay, so when the Mahayana texts talk about arhats, Shravakas, Pratyeka Buddhas, they realize emptiness of self, but not emptiness of dharmas, phenomena. There's still a nirvana to attain, samsara to leave behind. No such thing. Okay? But there is the perfection of the Bodhisattva path that needs to be acquired. So from the early teaching to the later, there was a soteriological shift from liberation to Buddhahood. Oh, you can be liberated. Just dump out the wine. 3 poisons, absent, you're liberated. That doesn't mean you've perfected compassion. The stench of the wine is still there. So the goal became different. You see, the goal became Buddhahood, aspiring for full liberation for the sake of saving people. Right? So some of the early teachings were modified or refined, we should say, refined to be free from potential loopholes on a theoretical, scholastic level. So when the Buddha said, human beings constituted by the 5 skandhas, like the Heart Sutra, we've gone over that, 5 skandhas. But very seldom, there is, but very seldom the Buddha said the 5 skandhas are empty too. There is in the early text, in the Agamas. Right? But people usually just oversee the 5 skandhas, 5 skandhas. So you're left with the Dharma of 5 skandhas. You see? You're left with 12 dependent origination, 5 skandhas, 4 noble truths, clearly soteriological goals, and what to abandon. You see? So you're left with what we call dharmas. Right? Not teaching dharma, but just things. So loopholes. So on a philosophical level, we address that. Experientially, the taste of liberation is the same. But the qualities of the function of wisdom, great difference. Great range. Some of the Buddha's immediate disciples were very skilled, very articulate, skillful, being able to connect with people like Subhuti, being able to connect with people and precisely give the teaching of emptiness, of not self. Right? So, great difference between all the different 10 great disciples. And kind of second tier Arhat disciples, the third tier, and so on. Okay, so worldly level, 6 things to attain. That's what people grasp. Right? Individual liberation path, there's something to attain. Liberation to attain. Right? Mahayana path, a more refined teaching that emphasizes nothing to attain. Right? The teaching of non-abiding, non-reification of anything, even the Buddhist teachings. So when one is free from selfing and othering, one will have tonight's text, no obstructions. Now you have to wonder, why would people have obstructions? You see? We have obstructions because there's a self. If you feel obstructed, limited, if you feel struggle, definitely if you feel fear, there's a selfing happening in that immediacy. Right? What are we obstructed by? A lot of things, right? For the worldly people, the 6 things. They're trying to get the 6 things and they feel obstructed. They can't become famous. They can't have power. They can't get profit because of all these different things. Power, influence, status, sensual pleasure. Obstructed by that. When we feel obstructed, there's a simultaneous reification of selfing and othering. Right? Wanting this moment to be other than what it is. And as meditators, they would know. Sometimes people get into a state that they're not familiar with. They feel like their body's melting, translucent, nothing, body vanishes. Or parts of the body vanishes at peace. How many of you have felt that? Body disappear, right? And then the next thought, because they want their body to be present. Like they have fear. What's happening? Right? Very common. So it's like a litmus test. Is your body still there? Of course the body is there. Just open your eyes. You know? So they feel when something is absent, they want to hold on to something. Right? They don't understand it. They want to understand it. Nothing to understand. You have to see that tendency of wanting to grasp on something. That tendency itself. Free yourself from that. Don't take it to be real. It's just perception. Shifting perception. So is the meditators. On a shallower level, before they get to the body disappearing and so on, the most common, they feel obstructed by what? Thoughts, wandering thoughts, and drowsiness, right? They want to concentrate, but they can't. Right? They want to gain something, but they can't. So the issue is not wandering thoughts. The issue is not drowsiness. It's that impulse to want to get something. And then you feel obstructed. Address that. How do you address that? It's all good. You do you. Whatever. Don't buy into it. You know? Many people, when they feel like they lost control, I'm not talking about something fantastic, great thing. I'm just talking about like when you want to concentrate and you can't. Right? You feel frustrated. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not a good meditator. All these feelings. What's behind that? Obstructed. You see? Behind that is me, I, mine. The habit impulse, wanting to get somewhere, to get something. When the manager mind is not satisfied, I have a student who always talk about skill sets. This is not part of my skill set. Like concentration is not part of my skill set. A lot of things going on here. A lot of wandering thoughts. And they get frustrated. I can't do it. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. So it goes back to the default of wanting to get something, wanting to manage something, want things to be predictable. Now this person, this student, it's not just one student. A lot of people are like that. I'm not going to ask you to raise your hands, but what is happening here is we want things to be manageable, predictable. We want to be able to control things. That's one of the 6, right? Power. a facet of that. When you feel you've lost control, lost power, you can't manage. Instead of trying to manage, the real issue is that mind that wants to manage. Do you see what I'm saying? Don't buy into it. Because that's a habit. That's precisely where selfing is actually occurring in that moment. Do you see what I'm saying? So the thing to do is, it's all good. Don't buy into it. Unfazed. Unfazed. You got to be able to cultivate the ability to be unfazed by anything. I'm not saying you got to be a stoic. You have to see through, recognize vexations when they arise. Recognize it. Right? The habit. And that particular student is so competent. It's among my students, one of the most competent students. Very capable. A lot of skill sets. Except concentration. Right? How this person thinks, it's actually not true. It's actually just a habit. You know? There's nothing to do with competence. You know, a person with low competence, they can feel they're like the greatest thing. Right? It's a habit, impulse. That is precisely where one starts to go beyond one's comfort zone. Go beyond the borders of the comfort zone. And you feel, go through. Unfazed. Bring it on. Let's go. What are you going to do? I'm just going to say, you do you, I do me. Yeah. All the Chan masters talk about this. Metaphorically, through examples, different ways. Right? Ma Zu, Chan Master Ma Zu, phrased it in his own way. Right? Ordinary mind is the way. When we reify things, when we are afraid, when we are outside of our comfort zone, right? We make a big deal of everything. Everything is extraordinary. Not extraordinary in a good sense. Just like, oh my goodness, what's happening? I can't do it. I can't do it. Just make everything into a big deal. That's what the self does. It reifies everything into a thing. Right? So he says, ordinary. Ordinary. Ordinary mind is the way. Right? If you expect the mind to be chaotic, worrisome, grasping, making a big deal, if you expect it, and when it comes, then, I see you. It's all right. Chill. That's what he's saying. Right? Unfazed by it. Don't get looped, sucked into that mechanism, that rumination, that cyclic, again and again. This is a big deal. Don't even bother with it. Right? You see? Zhao Zhou, Chan Master Zhao Zhou, Zhou Xu, that master, that appearance, just look like a decrepit old man. Nothing special. You take a look at him, you wouldn't even know he's a Chan master. Right? Some people have this idea, a Zen master is supposed to look a certain way. They have a presence. They have a chi. Baloney. Low key, humility, low key, low. Right? Master Zhao Zhou, he has a saying. Every day is a good day. Right? He said it in the midst of great persecution of Buddhism. Historically. What would prompt a person to say that? An internal social unrest. That's when he said that. Every day is a good day. At peace. Unfazed. It's not to say that, monasteries were being confiscated. Buddha statues, bronze ones, were being melted. Monks were being laicized, chased out, killed. That's the context. Every day is a good day. He's not oblivious to what's happening. Unfazed. See? These are teachings. Chan Master Gao Feng Yuan Miao, he has his saying. He says, whenever things come up, thoughts, feelings, emotions, difficulty, you feel struggle, he says, be a zombie. The Walking Dead. 活的死人. That's literally what he says. Right? So, zombies, maybe American zombies, right? They just want to eat brains, They don't care about, how you look and dress. You gotta have chi. You gotta look a certain way. You gotta have power, wealth, status. All those 6 things gone out the window. All they want is the brain, right? And you shoot them. If you don't shoot them in the head, they get up. Missing an arm, they still get up, right? You should be like that. He says you should be like that with regard to your method. You're practicing, right? Working on the breath, huatou, koans, silent rumination. Anything else is that come up inside you, if you struggle, difficult. Zombie. Just keep going. Go after the brain. Go after the brain. What's the brain? The method. That's the brain. Right? Nothing else. Unfazed by anything. Master Lin Ji, the founder of the Ringzai Zen in China, Lin Ji. He says, things come up, grasping, selfing, be an idiot. Like low IQ. Yeah, low IQ. Low IQ people, when they see like Rolls Royce, glam, they totally unfazed. Right? Now, if the low IQ people have a little bit of IQ, they probably, I want to get that Rolls. No. We're talking about really low. Like nothing. Nothing fazes you. Just eat. When you eat, walk when you walk. Vexations come, put your feet up, he says. Rest. Right? Other Chan masters. The author of Blue Cliff Record, Yuan Wu Kejing. Right? He's the one, out of all the prominent, high-profile master of his time, he's the one who's constantly talking about be a tree stump. Not the Caodong Chan masters, Soto Zen teacher. No. Lin Ji, he's the one. I did a statistical study of how many times this guy talks like that in all of his discourse record. He outweighs all of the masters around his time. The number of times he talks about be a tree stump. Be a withered log. Right? Be an incense burner. Like this incense burner in a dilapidated, rundown temple. Like no one's there. Just practice like that. Vexation is gone. Now in a contemporary age, Guogu has a saying. Not a zombie, not be a tree stump, maybe a little bit more, it sounds better. He says, remember what he says? IAG. It's all good. It's all good. It's the same. We're speaking the same language. It's all good. Vexations, yeah, fine. You do you, I do me. Method, practice. You have to be able to understand the principle. Don't follow, don't reject. Don't suppress, don't chase after. Nothing to deal with. Stay with what needs to be done, what can be done, which is the method. Because it is at those junctures that's when selfing happens. You want to follow that? You want to suppress that? Don't even bother dealing with it. Do you see what I'm saying? Recognize that. You're free. Another thing that Guogu says. You're already free. It's all good. Keep going. Right? Sounds a little bit better than be a zombie, right? Be a tree stump. Right? Basically, it's the same. Obstructions. When we are obstructed, when we feel anguish, it's that impulse to reify, to make it into a thing. How do we do it? We reify through words and language, labels that we put on. See right through that. It's all good. Things will work out. You can invent your own words. Everything's workable. It is actually. Right? Those of you who are really into work, say that to yourself. Everything's workable. Just need to adjust how to work with it, how to work it. Right? Everything's workable. Don't make a thing out of it. How do you work with it? In terms of practice, keep going. Put it down. When we feel obstructed, the point is, there's definitely the juncture. That is the juncture when the self comes into being. And that is precisely how we reify things to make a thing out of it. That means othering. It doesn't mean that we don't address social ills, injustice, suffering. We sent out an email this morning helping those who were affected by Hurricane Helene in Asheville. It completely devastated. Certain towns are just wiped out. Asphalt, strong roads, completely gone. Buildings, brick, completely gone. Thousands of people without homes. Right? Inside, vexations. It's all good. Put it down. What needs to be done, like a method, what needs to be done, what can be done in this moment, we do it. And use your resources, thinking, instead of making things into a struggle. Make connections. Unite everyone's power. Funnel the help to redress this. That's what needs to be done. Once it's done, leave no trace inside. You see? Dharma relief. Please donate. This is the time. We are not insular beings practicing for our own little improvement. We're all related. Dharma Relief is a grassroots organization that brings together the strength and resource of everyone, channel it to where it needs to be, one project at a time. This current project is to help those in North Carolina. The Dharma centers. We're working with them. They become our satellite to help their communities, Dharma communities. So, no obstruction. When we feel obstructed, selfing is there, othering is there. Release. See through, release, respond. When there's no obstructions, that's why there's no fear. As Bodhisattva practitioners, there are 5 particular types of fears. Here's again with the list. Buddhism has all kinds of lists. But this list is useful. It provides a framework for us to be mindful of these 5. Again, ways in which these 5 types of fear are junctures in which selfing and its residue of selfing. Even some bodhisattva practitioners who have seen through the self nature, emptiness of self, right? But there's residue. These 5. What are the 5? First one is giving away, fear of giving away everything. So, nothing left. From the Bodhisattva practitioner, nothing left what? Merit. Right? Fear of giving away everything. Second, sacrificing their reputation. And doesn't mean high reputation. It means one's status as a bodhisattva. Like what is bodhisattva supposed to do? We're supposed to, I can't sacrifice bodhisattva. Right? My bodhisattvahood. That's an attachment. Even that. Third, sacrificing themselves. Dread of dying. Death. These are real fears. Fourth, falling into the evil path. 3 evil paths. Lower realms. Reborn as a preta. Hungry spirit. Animal. Denizens of hell. Right? Some of the great practitioners, they're driven by this fear of being reborn. So they strive very hard. But that itself is a making things into things. Right? It's a kind of reification. So fear of that. 5. Fear of addressing an assembly of people. Fear of being with sentient beings. Especially those with power. So there's a subtle attachment to one's own status. So these, can you relate to them? Like you have to give a talk in front of 50 people, 100 people. That's fear. Right? Fear of confronting people. Why? Because there's a self here. What are they going to think of me? You see? There's an othering and there's a self here. So these 5 provide some parameters for us to begin to work with as a Bodhisattva practitioners. People. Generosity is the first one, right? And the first one here is fear of giving. I gotta save some for myself, don't I? Save some merit, save some wisdom for myself. If you calculate like that, in a self-referential way, it's not to say that you have to give up everything for now. It's that attitude that needs to be addressed, that thought pattern. Can you tell the difference? It's the thought pattern of, well, what if I give away everything, I have nothing left? It's that thought, not the actual things. You see? So it's not that you're going to give away everything. But that thought is the juncture of self-referentiality. You see? Fear of what will happen next. What will happen after I die? Will I be reborn? All the evil karma that I've created? Or my own death, my own demise. When people need help, the obstacle that's talking about here is, well, I gotta protect myself. I don't want to give everything away. Right? Or I don't want to get in trouble. I may hurt myself. So it is these thoughts that block us from seeing what needs to be done. When you're free from these tendencies, you actually won't hurt yourself. You see things very clearly, what needs to be done. You won't be absent-minded. My teacher one time was telling me about the story when he observed as a boy. He saw this snake chasing after this frog. This frog, out of fear, he's talking about this fear, right? Froze, and didn't know where to jump. And he jumped, aiming right at the snake's mouth. We do that. If you worry about, don't make a mistake, don't make a mistake, don't make a mistake, you'll make a mistake. Guaranteed. Right? It prevents you from seeing what's happening. Don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. Oh, damn it, I did it. How many of you have done that before? Right? A lot. So, no obstructions. The ways in which we feel obstructed. Maybe it's connected to the 6 aspects of grasping. Right? Maybe it's things we want to attain. When the text talk about no attainment. No attainment, no obstructions. No obstruction, no fear. And the 5 fears that we spoke about tonight are aspects to be aware. First one is generosity. Second one is your own status as a bodhisattva practitioner, your own reputation, other people think of you, what other people will think of you. Third one is sacrificing yourself, you yourself get a short end of the stick. Fourth one is death, your own death. Fifth one is, in front of people, your connection to sentient beings. These 5 are spoken about from Samdhi Nirmanachana Sutra. Samdi Nimanachana Sutra. Sutra that explicate the profundity of all things. So, talking about the Bodhisattva practice. So, that's tonight's talk. Without the fear, what follows is far from confusion. And that's the analogy I spoke about. The frog jumping right into the mouth of the snake. When we fear, we'll do exactly what we're afraid of. Right? It's confusion. We can't see things. What needs to be done? Why? Because of our imaginations. All the 5 kinds of fear are based on imagination. All the 5 kinds of fear. What will happen? What would they think of me? Right? What will be left? What's going to happen if I do this? Ruminations. So, without confusion, imagination, no self, no othering. Unobstructed. That's ultimate nirvana. Nothing to attain. The realization of the Bodhisattva path. Right? The wisdom of the Buddhas. So that's tonight. Next talk, I will finish up the rest of the Heart Sutra. All right, any questions? Okay, anyone online? I want to dedicate tonight's talk and the merit to all those who are suffering, affected by Hurricane Helene, all the different states, from Florida, 500 miles up north, to all the folks in Asheville. And if you wish to help, to be in person, help to distribute the needed materials, generators, you have transportation, you can drive these goods around, or you want to donate financial, please go to Dharma Relief. Right, take a look at that for more information and help spread the word. Share social media as much as you can.